Am I the asshole for trying to help my girlfriend without hurting her feelings? I, 32 male, have been in a relationship with my girlfriend, 24 female, for almost 3 years now. When we first got together, she was pretty overweight and struggling with her self-esteem, depression, and anxiety. Over time, she started to work on herself, both physically and mentally. I've been incredibly proud of her progress and how far she's come. Lately, though, I noticed that she's been putting on some weight gain, and it's been affecting her mental health. She's mentioned feeling down about her body image, and her struggles with anxiety and depression have resurfaced. I genuinely care for her, and I don't want to see her suffer like this. I thought about talking it out, but knew it would just evolve into asking if I'm still attracted to her. And truthfully, I have lost some attraction over the last month or so, though she does still look amazing for the most part. I thought it would be better to take some more subtle approaches. So I've started adding small amounts of sawdust to her food. The idea being it would help her feel fuller faster and encourage her to eat less without her knowing.
Sawdust.
Wood.
Surely that's a jailable.
Yeah, bro.
I was trying to prevent her from falling back into her previous state of depression and anxiety. Unfortunately, my brother, 30 male, caught me in the act, and he was shocked and angry. He told me I was being manipulative and abusive.
Facts.
Which, okay, a little shady, maybe, but abusive is a serious stretch. Now my brother is giving me an ultimatum. He wants me to tell my girlfriend what I've been doing by the end of the week, or he'll tell her himself. He believes she deserves to know the truth. I think what I've been doing is enough to help her without causing her unnecessary pain by revealing what I've done. She's already lost a few pounds. I told him I would stop, and I believe that should be sufficient. I don't see the point of telling her and potentially destroying the progress she's made. My brother thinks I'm completely in the wrong and that my girlfriend deserves the truth, but I genuinely believe I was doing what I thought was best for her, and I don't see it as malicious. Am I really the jerk for trying to help my girlfriend in this way, or is my brother overreacting? Should I tell my girlfriend what I've been doing, or keep it to myself to spare her feelings? I need honest opinions here. Please keep in mind that telling her up front that she's put on weight could seriously set her back.
Well, that's the least of his problems.
That is the least.
He's a crazy person.
Sawdust.
Sawdust.
What food is he putting it in that she's not noticed she's eating sawdust?
It must be like stews and soups and them things that she's just mixing it in.
Yeah.
The viscosity is thick. She can't tell.
I also couldn't walk in on you mixing sawdust in your girlfriend's food. I couldn't. I physically couldn't walk in and see that.
You'd have to sit me down and we'd have to talk.
Yeah, I'll shake you, bro. What are you thinking?
I'll be like, please, Jay, please, I need to do something.
Oh, yeah. She's making great progress. I'll send you to prison, bro. That's crazy stuff.
When I was only 6, my parents abandoned me with my aunt and uncle for an entire week so they could go to Hawaii and make a sister that I never asked for. And while I was outside playing with my cousins, I fell down and I scratched my arm. So I went running to my uncle crying, and I showed him the scratch on my arm, and he said, "Oh no." And I said, "Can I have a Band-Aid?" And he said, "No." 6-year-old me was like, "What?" And my uncle said, "Are you bleeding?" And I looked at the scratch on my arm. I was like, "No." And he said, "Band-Aids are to stop bleeding. So if you're not bleeding, then that means that you don't need a Band-Aid. So no." That was 20 years ago. And to this day, I'm just like, what the hell, Mark? Who denies a crying 6-year-old girl a Band-Aid? It wasn't about the Band-Aid. My father had the audacity to abandon me with a perfect stranger who he was raised with, and you won't even give me a Band-Aid to patch together the pieces of my life? It is a good thing that my parents were off making a bonus daughter to replace me in case I had died in my uncle's neglectful care.
Am I in the wrong for refusing to be my friend's alibi so he can cheat on his girlfriend? I, male 21, have known my friend Matt, male 21, since we were in college. We're in the same program and have been roommates since day one. Overall, I'd say Matt is a great guy. However, he has a terrible tendency to cheat. Throughout college, I think Matt had 5 to 7 different girlfriends, and each of those relationships ended because he would cheat. Back in January, he started dating his current girlfriend, Jen, female 21, and has been with her for far longer than any of the previous relationships. From my interactions with Jen, I know she's a wonderful person. She's very polite, beautiful, and clearly devoted to Matt. For the past few weeks, Matt has also developed a close relationship with his anatomy lab partner, Cindy, female 21. It's become pretty clear to me and my other housemates, Kyle 21, Robert 22, Omar 20, that there is some romantic relationship between them. We've even all met Cindy as she came by our house a few times. Long story short, Matt has told me and the other guys that things between him and Cindy are moving fairly quickly and that Jen is completely in the dark about this. He told us that, for the foreseeable future, he'll be spending a few nights hanging out at Cindy's place. Here's the issue. Jen and her roommate don't live that far from us, about a 7-minute walk, so there's a good chance that she'll come by looking for him, according to Matt. Therefore, he wants us all to make excuses for his absences and potentially reassure Jen that he isn't up to anything bad. Kyle and Robert are fully on board with this, as they consider it the bro code. Omar is fully against this, and while he's not said that he'd tell Jen, he's just refused to lie for Matt and has been urging him to end things with Cindy. I would say I'm more neutral. I don't think what Matt's doing is appropriate, but I don't think it's my place to tell Matt how to manage his relationships. I told him while I wouldn't seek Jen out and tell her what's going on, I wouldn't lie to her either about where he is and just instead say I don't know. We all argued about this for a while, and the general gist of things is that Kyle, Robert, and Matt all think that I'm being a bit of an ass for not being more cooperative. Aside from this, I don't think there's really much I can do. Moving somewhere else is both economically and logistically unfeasible, so I think trying to avoid stirring the pot is my best bet. Am I in the wrong? Part 2. Am I in the wrong for refusing to be my friend's alibi so he can cheat on his girlfriend? I'll start this update by saying that Jen found out last night. Like Matt predicted, she came over to our house Tuesday evening. I saw her pretty quickly since I was also coming back from buying food. She asked me if I knew where Matt was, and I said I didn't know, because I genuinely didn't know at the time. She mentioned how he wasn't responding to her text and that she was worried about him, and I felt pretty bad hearing that. Kyle, who was inside, came out at this point and said that Matt was in his anatomy lab, and then reassured her that he'd contact her once he was finished. She didn't seem entirely satisfied with that answer, but thanked us anyway and left. Once she was gone, Kyle told me that Matt was actually on a date with Cindy. Since Matt sometimes brings Cindy over, he'll text the house group chat before they come over to ensure that Jen isn't around. He did this on Tuesday night, and Kyle did alert him that Jen had stopped by looking for him, so he stayed over with Cindy on Tuesday night. Wednesday evening, only Omar and I are home. Kyle was with his own girlfriend, and Robert had an exam. Around 7 p.m., we got a text in the group chat from Matt saying that he plans on bringing Cindy over at 8:30 and asked if Jen came by. I told him that I hadn't seen her, and things went on as usual. I'll add that Omar has refused to respond to any specific text messages from Matt, so there was an expectation on me to clarify if Jen was here or not. A little after 8 p.m., Jen comes by with one of her friends, Carly, 21. They asked us where Matt was since Jen hadn't seen him a lot lately. Before I could even say anything, Omar told them to come back at 8:30 and Matt should be home. They left, and I argued with Omar about his decision to tell them to come back since it was inevitably going to cause drama, but he didn't care. I texted Matt and told him about Jen potentially returning, but since he was driving, he didn't read the message. A little after 8:30, Matt walked in with Cindy, and not long afterward, Jen and Carly returned. Long story short, there was a lot of Jen yelling and Matt lying and apologizing. I didn't bother to come down since I could hear it from my room. About after 10 minutes of this, Jen and Carly left. Matt sent Cindy home after this and was pretty pissed at what happened. I reminded him that I sent a text message, which he now saw, and Omar played dumb, but confirmed to him that he told Jen to come back after the first time she came because he didn't think that Matt was dumb enough to go out with Cindy 2 nights back to back. Robert and Kyle came home after this point and I filled them in on what happened. There was definitely some tension in the house this morning as Matt thinks that this all could have been avoided if Omar had been more helpful. He also partially blames Cindy for wanting to come over so often. Overall, Matt doesn't really seem to care that Jen found out and broke things off with him. He said that he'll try apologizing one more time, and if she doesn't accept, he'll leave things as they are. As for Cindy, Matt has already told Kyle, Robert, and me this morning that he plans on ending things with her after the December exam season. He says that he wants to be single again by New Year so he can have a fresh start. Kyle and Robert think this is pretty hilarious considering how much trouble he got into to be with her. Things have ended more smoothly than I thought, and I've made it abundantly clear to Matt to keep me out of his relationship woes.
So, with anxious attachers, they have a really positive association with love. However, they're really scared to lose it. And the issue is that they can't trust that the love will remain when there's distance. Next, we've got avoidant, which is otherwise known as dismissive avoidance sometimes, like I said before. So these people are fiercely independent, like super independent. They rely on themselves and only themselves, in most cases, to meet their own needs rather than relying on others. So they essentially learn to be radically self-sufficient and successful and do rather than feel. They're focused on the hustle and, go, as opposed to sitting back, sitting with your emotions, feeling your feels, and working through all of that sort of stuff. But the next one is secure. These people are super comfortable asking for help when they need help. They're comfortable being vulnerable, having conversations about emotional things, going deep. They give and get in friendships an equal amount. They understand that it's not their responsibility to regulate other people's emotions. They don't need to try and guess what someone else is feeling or thinking. They trust that someone is going to talk to them if they have an issue, as opposed to constantly trying to analyze, is this person mad at me or what's going on, or just completely not thinking about that altogether. The last one is disorganized, or otherwise known as fearful avoidant. So this is a lot less common. And like I said before, they display features of anxious and avoidant attachment.
Bit of a hybrid.
Yeah, a bit of a hybrid. And these people are often on super high alert. They're super vigilant and really unable to trust people's intentions. So the core of this attachment style is they want love, but they also fear it.